Hey Posse, thanks for joining me today in another episode in my life series. Today we're talking about the people, places, and things that have positive and negative influences on a wine as the wine is being created. Also, we'll look at a vital parallel between all these influences of the grapes or on the grapes and how there are some incredibly valuable life parallels. Like one of us, a man or a woman, a glass of wine takes on the characteristics of where it's from, the kind or varietal of grape, the natural influences, and who created it. On top of that, you have intangible influences. All these nature and nurture influences have a bearing on the taste of the wine in your glass. Actually, whether you're sitting in front of your computer, scrolling on one of your devices, or curled up on the couch, I hope you're here with your favorite glass of wine. If you don't have a glass, you might want to pause the video and go grab a quick glass. We'll wait. Anyway, when it comes to your glass of wine, the reality is the wine you're drinking began its journey between 2 and 30 years ago in a vineyard. Now, the first two influences that we'll be talking about are sort of interrelated: where it's from, the place, and the varietal or the kind of grape. The place can include the part of the world it's from, all the way down to the individual vineyard the grape is grown in. Now, vineyards are called many different things. In different parts of the world, they're called domains, close, chateau, estates, and house, just to name a few. The house or domain is the place where the vines are nurtured, the grapes are grown, and the wine is made. Generally, the more care that is given to the vines and the grapes in the vineyard or domains and home, the better the wine will be. Its character is going to be much greater. As we drill down into the place, we ask ourselves, so what makes a glass of wine unique? Now, the technical term for this is terroir. This is the combination of climate, weather, slope of the land, exposure to the sun, a type of soil, and the grape varietal. When you break it down, it sounds sort of complicated. The reality is, it's pretty simple. Terroir is everything that has an impact on the vineyard and the grape. Every vineyard is unique, so every glass of wine will be unique. Let me show you how that works, how place and varietal play off of each other. A Cabernet from Bordeaux, France will taste different than a Cab from Napa, California, because of the area of the world the grape is from. That's due in part to the macroclimates, the temperature, the rain, and the soil. Now, this is just like red delicious apples, say from Michigan, will taste different than somewhere else, say for a red delicious from Washington State. So these apples taste a little different. The same thing holds true for grapes. A Cabernet will taste different depending on where it's grown. Same with Chardonnay, Merlot, Zinfandel, Sauvignon Blanc, and all the others. Wines from all over the world have both positive and negative influences that help or hinder their growth and taste. This is going to include things like soil, water, and pests. The fact of the matter is, all wines are influenced by these things to one degree or another. Let's take a real quick look at several of these. When it comes to the basics, let me show you what I mean. Let's look at soil and water. All wines are influenced by different types of soil. Interestingly, wine grapes do not do best in ideal, pristine, rich soil. There are dozens of different types of soil: limestone, chalk, sand, gravel, schist, and many more. But some of these soils have more nutrients than others. Some are richer than others. Now, as a rule of thumb, lousy soils is often best for wine grapes. Growing grapes in a different type of soil allows the vines to get different nutrients, and when the sun hits hits the grapes just right, they mature differently, making different tasting wine. We all live in different soils: cities, inner cities, suburbs, small towns, countries. Those soils have a bearing on who we are and, to a lesser degree, on what we become. Water is another key influence. Grapevines don't like wet feet. That means they don't like too much water. They need just the right amount of water during certain times of the year, particularly in the early spring and summer. Not too much, not too little. And they don't need a bunch of rain just before harvest. Too much rain at that time fills the grape with water, and you can end up with watered down, lousy wine. Or the grape fills up with so much water that the skins actually split, and you end up with, in some cases, no wine at all. Now, when making quality wine, vintners have learned not to irrigate too much. They allow the grapevines to struggle to find the water in the deep water table below. Minimizing water encourages roots to go deep in search of life-giving nutrients. With both soil and water, the idea here is the more or greater the vine struggles to get its nutrients, the greater the character of the wine. Have you ever noticed what we do to make our lives a little bit more perfect? To one degree or another, we want everything to be in order the way we want it to be, so we can be comfortable. We have to live in the right place, be with the right people, have the right degree, the right income. Maybe we ought to consider living in lousy soil. Consider lousy soil. It may be the best thing for some of us. Here again, we invest so much time and energy giving ourselves and our kids so much, we fail to recognize that the greater the struggle, the greater the character. I'm not saying let's all rush headlong into difficult times. What I am saying is embrace where you are. Many of you know that I've been through some very trying times. Times I wouldn't wish on anyone. But simultaneously, those times have created in me a humility and an empathy for others that I couldn't have earned otherwise. Wine without character is called flabby wine. People without character, emotionally, spiritually, physically, ethically, relationally, are called, you fill in the blank. If you're beginning to get a handle on all this, I'd appreciate you letting me know in the comments below, or subscribe. The subscription is free. And also, ring the little bell. And best of all, if it was helpful, share this with a friend. When it comes to the other natural influences, grapes across the globe are susceptible to all kinds of mold, mildew, disease, blight, beetles, and hundreds of different types of insects and pests. There's one pest, an insect called phylloxera, that is an everlasting pandemic to vines across the globe. Now, without the right rootstock, this parasite gets in and the vine will die within a season. People also have an influence on each glass of wine. This includes a lot of different organizations and individuals, everybody from international associations to national governments to regional associations. In an attempt to protect and save grapes in every area of the world, governments and grape associations have created national and even regionalized guidelines. These strict guidelines have been established to give the grapes a fighting chance. You also have people or organizations who own vineyards who determine what level of wine quality they want to produce. There are also those who tend the vines and pick the grapes, and the winemakers who care for each step of production. Back in the day, schools didn't have fences around them. It was found in studies that kids would play close to the school buildings, in large part for safety. It was seen that once fences were put up, the kids would play all the way out to the edge of the fence line. Even though it was much further away from the school buildings, the kids would venture out. These studies showed that fences guidelines provided safety, security, and confidence. The Good Book provides us with 10 guidelines. They're not there to restrict life, but to grant us health, latitude, freedom, ideal relationships, safety, and security. Some people see guidelines as restrictive. Others see them as freeing. Guidelines in every part of the world not only give the grapes and the vines a fighting chance, they enable them to thrive. So, to wrap up our life parallel, all the factors that go into making your life, be it where you are or who you're actually around, or when blended all together, they are critical, unique, and instrumental in creating the most phenomenal you. So, play the hand you're dealt. Make the most of your life. Live with a grateful spirit and address the areas that you're equipped to change, and do it with finesse, with great friends, fabulous food, and wonderful wine. Listen, if you ever have a moment, I'd love to visit and share a glass with you. Feel free to send me a direct message on social media or even shoot me an email. I'd love to know your story, the good and the bad. In the meantime, if you got something out of this video, make sure you hit like and please share this with someone that could use the encouragement. Remember, there will be positive and negative influences in and on your life. Will you embrace each place and person knowing that it is all there to strengthen you and your character? Hey Posse, thanks so much for investing the time to watch this video. I trust it was helpful to you. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. And please consider hitting subscribe. Now, if you're interested in buying some wines, check out this link. We've got some wonderful discounts. And be sure to check out these other videos. Until next time, cheers.